Okay, Harm, we're going to get to, it's not called the tune-up anymore. We've changed the name of it, folks, to Under the Hood. Harm, do you want to explain to the fine people why we have changed the name of this segment to Under the Hood, which of course is brought to you by Mr. Lube?
Yeah, so we started with the tune-up, and that implied something needs to be fixed, and that we'd identify a part of the team or a player, a line combination where the team maybe needs more of. But then I realized we're doing this 3 times a week, and if it's a tune-up, it inherently has to be something negative every time. And I realized I don't want it to be something negative because oftentimes I'll observe something that I find interesting, and it's not negative. It may be positive, it may be neutral, and I just, especially because it's getting clipped on socials every time, I think it'd be pretty funny if people who don't actually listen to the whole podcast just constantly 3 times a week from the Canucks Army Twitter account see clips of me just like splitting hairs about some part of the team or oh, they're allowing too many rest chances or something. So decided to go under the hood.
I love it. Under the Hood, brought to you by Mr. Lube. Harm, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, so this is the nerd in me. I was really thinking about why Sam Lafferty was scratched over Nils Aman, because you think back to early in the season, and of course Lafferty was playing at center, whereas Aman was in Abbotsford, and clearly there's been a shift in the totem pole there. Of course, Lafferty, we can all see, hasn't been as impactful. His minutes have been declining for a bit, even before the All-Star break, closer to around the 10.5-minute mark. But what stood out about Oman's game and why I think he's stuck in the lineup ahead of Lafferty is his impact on the penalty kill. He's third among Canucks forwards in shorthanded minutes since the All-Star break, and he hasn't surrendered a single goal against in over 7 minutes on the PK in that stretch. So I imagine Rick Tocchet and the coaching staff was sort of looking at, okay, who do we want to take out to insert DeChiara-USA back in? And they're thinking, well, Lafferty's speed and physicality hasn't been as noticeable lately. They're probably relatively similar in terms of even strength impact, especially because Lafferty would have to shift over to center if you're pulling Aman out. So then the PK impact is a significant difference because Lafferty doesn't play a lot on the PK, and Oman's clearly found a home there.
Oman has found a home there. Harm, what do you think about his line mates though? Like, are we going to see Nils Höglander back on the fourth line at any point, or is this going to be like okay, Ilya Mikheyev needs to figure it out, and he needs to figure it out on the fourth line?
I mean, Höglander, as long as he's producing, or not even just producing, as long as he's playing well, driving positive results, helping the top 6 control possession, he should stick there. Mikheyev, I don't like the idea of, okay, if he continues to struggle, just shuttle him back into the top 6, whether it's at the expense of Höglander or Suter. At some point, you got to earn your opportunity. This isn't a bottom feeder team anymore. This is a team that is competing to win every single night, to finish as high as possible in the standings, to make sure that they have home ice advantage through the playoffs for as long as possible. So Mikheyev needs to figure it out on the fourth line. And as J-Pat mentioned, Höglander was crushing it in fourth line role, playing 11 minutes a night. Lack of minutes or / playing in a fourth line role isn't an excuse for making a negligible impact.
All right, that was Under the Hood, brought to you by Mr. Lube, the pioneer of the no appointment warranty approved oil change. Now providing appointment-free tire service and sales. Find them at one of their 16 locations across the Lower Mainland. To find your nearest location, visit them online at mrlube.com. And folks, get those anyone else is in, because here goes Harmon telling you what time it is.
By the way, before I do the DoorDash read, you tricked me. This was supposed to be a fully positive Under the Hood, and then you fire up a follow-up about Ilya Mikheyev, and I have no choice but to point out that he hasn't been playing very well. You still want the tune-up.
We decided to change the name. And Kron making a good point. A tune-up doesn't have to be a negative thing. Like, you go get a tune-up for your car, doesn't have to be a negative thing. But in the context when we were using it, it was coming across as negative. So Under the Hood is a much better name. And yes, I'm sorry, I still had to ask you about Ilya Mikheyev there.
Canucks Conversation with Harmon and Quads every weekday at 2 p.m. Be sure to check it out on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. And if you missed it, go check it out on your favorite podcast catcher app.